Is this working? I think it is. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another live with Ethan's NBA Talk. I am Ethan, the host of the channel, and I will be giving you my opinion on every NBA team. Today's opinion is who's the most underrated player on each team and who's the most overrated player on each team. Now, for the overrated players, just to want to get this confirmed, it doesn't mean that they're bad players. It just means that they're more hyped than they should be, if that makes sense. And some of these teams don't even have a particularly overrated player, in my opinion. Some of them, some of these teams just have a player that I would give the title as the most hyped, but deserve the hype at times. But let's get into it. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications so you won't miss out on any of these exciting new videos, live streams, shorts, anything that I upload onto YouTube. And also, make sure to like this live stream if you enjoy this live stream. So let's get into it. We have 5 people already. That is a great start to this live stream. Let's start off. NBA overrated and underrated player. You don't have to agree with everything I say. Feel free to share your opinions in the chat. That is why I have the chat open for you guys to use it if you want to say anything. So let's get started with the Atlanta Hawks. Most underrated player, in my opinion, is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He has had an absolutely terrific season, just averaging almost 20 points a game. Solid player, efficient, and his defense is very reliable, I think, as well. I think he's always ready for the big moment in games, ready to take on the other team's star players, like against the Knicks when he got that pickpocket against Jalen Brunson. I think that was showed how good he is in these big moments. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker definitely earns the title as the Hawks' most underrated player. We have 15 people in right now. Welcome in, everybody. I think the most overrated player on the Hawks, and I don't think there's anybody particularly overrated on the Hawks. I'll have to be honest. I think the Hawks are an underrated team all around. But if I would have to give it to somebody, I think it's Dyson Daniels slightly. I think sometimes Dyson Daniels is inconsistent. I think 12% from 3 is awful, and just under 60% from the free throw line is even more awful. Sometimes he does miss pretty easy shots, and I just think that when you look at defense, he gets steals. He doesn't get as many steals as last season, but he does get steals. But sometimes he does allow these get caught under pressure and allow these easy blow by layups. So that's not that good. But I it's not to say that Dyson Daniels is not a good player. Like I said, this is just my opinion on what I think about these players. I think if you have to give it to somebody, it would be because I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm not giving I'm not like giving an overrated player because there's no overrated player on the team. I have to give the overrated player title to somebody on the team. Okay. Celtics. Really, this might be a popular pick, actually, to a lot of Celtics fans. And you guys know I don't like the Celtics as being a Sixers fan. I'm wearing my Flyers shirt today because they play the Pittsburgh Penguins. Looking forward to that one. Hopefully we destroy them. But anyway, the Celtics' most underrated player, I do definitely believe it's Neemias Queta. Now, if you never heard of him, he's been the Celtics' reliable big man on their team. I really believe that he is an underrated player. Been very solid for them. Can easily average a double double. Uh, Such a solid defender. He's been a big reason why the Celtics have been so good this season. I definitely think that Neemias Queta deserves most underrated player. Now, we look in the most overrated player. I gotta tell you, it's gotta be Derek White. Sorry, Celtics fans. Actually, not sorry, because I know I'm telling the truth. Derek White is definitely the most overrated player on the Celtics, in my opinion. I don't think the efficiency is there enough, because he does average. He's like a 39% from the field and 33% from three. That's not good enough, in my opinion. But with Derek White, it's that you know he is a decent defender. I'll give him that. He's a pretty good defender. But I just think the inconsistency and just the hype because he's on the Boston Celtics, the famous Boston Celtics, like wasn't the list last season the top list or like top 100 list? Like, did I think Derek White got rated higher than my boy Tyrese Maxey? Like what are we doing there? Like when I saw that, I like was like shocked, but yeah, it's not just for that reason I call him overrated. I just call him overrated just because it's the inconsistency, in my opinion, that really stands out for him being overrated. Now, next we go to the Brooklyn Nets. Uh, I used to think he was overrated, but underrated, Michael Porter Jr. Honestly, because a lot of people don't forget about Michael Porter Jr. because he is on the Brooklyn Nets and nobody really talks about the Brooklyn Nets. But Michael Porter Jr. has been very good for the Nets. I think he's capable of kind of leading a bad team. Like he's not the kind of player that how do I say this? He needs good players around him to do well. If that makes sense, like he's capable of leading a bad team on his own, but I do think he does need some help because this Nets team is really bad right now. Now, actually, not really bad, just really young. The youngest team in the NBA. But yeah, I definitely think Michael Porter Jr. deserves that underrated. He's been really good this season. Nick Claxton, on the overrated side for the Nets. I mean, I just think his defense has kind of declined in recent years. Not like it used to be. But it's not all his fault because, again, he is on the Nets. It's kind of hard when you have that team to play for. But I don't really think there's anybody particularly overrated on the Nets either. But I definitely think if we had to give it to somebody, it would be Nick Claxton. Let me know what you guys think. Yes, this is live. This is live Elder Assassin 3. Charlotte Hornets. Underrated player. Honestly, people are gonna actually think I'm nuts for this, but for the Charlotte Hornets, I'm gonna go with Musa Diabate. Now, if you've never heard of him, that is okay. That is okay because it's kind of hard to name like a random player on a team like the Hornets, but Musa Diabate this season has been a real a key part in getting the Charlotte Hornets defense up to par. I believe the Hornets are top 10 in defense now, and they would have never been that a couple years ago. They were one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA, if not in NBA history. Okay, I really think Musa Diabate has played a part in that. Yeah, that is right. He is the center for the Hornets, but a great center, in my opinion. I think he's really helped the Hornets on their defense a lot and rebounding abilities. I think he's been a major part in this insane run that the Hornets have had. And the Hornets have also been a reason why the East is so stacked, because the Hawks right now, for example, are 32 and 31 on the season, but they are in 10th place in the East. I think last year, if they were minus 10, that would be good enough to be in the play-in tournament. The Hornets and the Heat. Um, yeah, I think didn't Canupo get like almost 30 points? Yeah, I forgot the exact points he uh that he got. Let me just check. I do think, yeah, the Heat did win, but you could just see the quality in the Hornets. How Canupo has been great as a rookie. He probably will win the Rookie of the Year. Yeah, it might go to Cooper Flag, but I think Cooper Flag has competition. I think Canupo, his teammate, the Duke Blue Devils, could easily take that Rookie of the Year title away from him and be Rookie of the Year, especially because the Hornets have been a winning team this season with him. But now let's move on to most overrated player on the Hornets, and people are gonna hate me for this because they all love him, but LaMelo Ball is the most overrated player on the Hornets. It's not that he's a bad player, like I said. It's not that he is a bad player. I never would say that he is a great player. But I like I said, I have to give the most overrated player on each team to somebody, and I think LaMelo Ball gets that title because I feel like a lot of people have acted like LaMelo Ball has been the kind of key to the Hornets' success, and he has been a big part of their success, but he's not been like the main guy that's leading the way. Yeah, he is a leader for Charlotte. Um, he is a little bit more experienced, but also very injury prone at times as well. As also with Brandon Miller, he's also injury prone. But I look at LaMelo Ball, and I just don't think the efficiency is quite there for me. I don't think the he's consistent enough, but I do think that he is a solid player. I just don't think he's been like the star of the show, if that makes sense. I think the Hornets have kind of played really well as a team. Like, it's not been one person leading the way for them. I feel like it's maybe Canupo's led the way for them at times, but also you got to look at all the talent that they have. Look at LaMelo Ball. Look at Brandon Miller. Look at Musa Diabate. Look at Canupo. Look at Miles Bridges. All these guys on this team have really been great as of late, and I just don't think LaMelo Ball has been an all-star as a caliber player as of late, but it might be a good thing for the Hornets because I think they have better talent now, and LaMelo Ball has less of a responsibility. If the Hornets and the Hawks make the playoffs, who are the two teams that get out of the playoff standings? That is a great question, Elder Assassin. Um, Now, if the Hornets and Hawks make the playoff, see, At first, I didn't think the Hawks would make the playoffs because the Hawks, I mean, I don't think they got better when they traded Trae Young away. I think that was a stupid trade. But when they brought in Jonathan Kuminga recently, just to see how good they've been lately, even though they've been beating crappy teams, yeah, Kuminga definitely changed everything for the Hawks. I do think they Hawks could make the playoffs, but it will be hard if they have to play the Hornets. But I don't think they'll have to play the Hornets. They'll probably have to play the Heat. The Heat will probably get knocked out, honestly, and like if they're not healthy, because the Heat did beat the Hornets. I also um, believe that the Hawks have really struggled against the Heat as well. But I think if the Hawks and the Hornets get to the playoffs, then the Heat will be that team that gets eliminated. Yeah, the Heat and Magic will probably get Magic. Honestly, if you go back and look at my NBA standings predictions, Elder Assassin, I said the Magic would finish third place in the East before the season started. I think they've been extremely, extremely, extremely disappointing. I can't say enough. They've been disappointing. I know that they're missing out on a Franz Wagner on their team, but just a disappointing season. I expected them to be a little bit better. Yeah. Yeah, see, even you agree with me, Elder Assassin, that we all thought they were going to be. I actually thought Paula Banchero was going to be an MVP candidate this season, but things don't always go the way that we think they will. Um, let's move on to the Bulls. The Bulls' most underrated player is Zach Collins, I think. Now, this is not going to be a very popular pick, but I just think Zach Collins is very reliable for this team, especially when he comes off the bench. I think when he played for the Spurs, I think he was very. I think he's just a very like he was very reliable when coming in for Wemby, and now he's very reliable now, especially now that the Bulls are pretty banged up at the front court. Zach Collins is definitely a reliable player in my opinion. But most overrated player is Isaac Okoro. There's nobody particularly overrated on the Bulls. But I just think Isaac Okoro is the one that you would have to choose because you expected more from him going in this season. Expected him to be a better option for teams like he's played for, like the Cavs and the Bulls now. But he just hasn't had a good season, and that's why I'm viewing him as overrated. Yeah, you could argue that Josh Giddey is slightly overrated, but I do think that he has given the Bulls a kind of boost offensively, as well as like Matis Bucelis, them two really good teammates. But I see why Josh Giddey could potentially be overrated. Like on defense, the defense is not really there. The Cavs. I mean, a lot of people don't like him, but I'm going to say him anyway. Jarrett Allen is the most underrated player on the Cavs. With everybody focused on Evan Mobley on the front court, have you ever even taken a moment to realize that there's a man with a full head of hair on the team as well? Jarrett Allen. I don't think anybody really has going out there averaging 15 points per game and about 8 rebounds, I think. I think around that, and he's just been a really solid option for the Cavs. I think he's very also helped Evan Mobley in getting to be a better player. I, with Jarrett Allen's experience in big moments as well, especially when he played for the Nets and he was in the playoffs then, and he's gotten Evan Mobley experienced, even Donovan Mitchell experienced a little bit. Yeah, I just think Jared Allen has been a really solid option for the Cavs. Overrated. I know he hasn't played this season, but I think Max Strus is kind of overrated. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just um, Max Strus is overrated because the, I don't think he's consistent enough defensively and offensively. I think in order to be a good player, you have to be really consistent, and I don't see that in Max Strus so often. I think one game he goes like 2 for 10 from three, and then another game he goes like 6 for 6 from three. So yeah, that's why I put Max Strus as most overrated player. Then we go to the Mavs. The Mavericks. It's got to be Ryan Nembhard for me. Ryan Nembhard. I mean, the guy plays similar to his brother, doesn't he? Uh, just a great playmaker as well, but very, very solid rookie player. He will come good for Dallas. And I think he can also be a great defensive option for the Mavericks. I mean, Mavericks don't really have many great defensive weapons. I don't think, especially now that they got rid of Anthony Davis. But even though Anthony Davis wasn't playing, so it was good to get rid of him probably, just so they can get a lot in return. And then overrated player on the Mavericks, gotta be Kyrie Irving. Gotta be Kyrie Irving. I know. I just think for the simple fact that people think that Kyrie Irving has a better, it has a better is a better ball handler than Allen Iverson. What are we talking about? That's just not the case. He's an incredible ball handler, but come on, Kyrie Irving is not better than Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson literally broke the greatest basketball player of all time's ankles. Like, so that doesn't really make sense to me. But Kyrie Irving is a good player, even though you guys know I don't like him. I don't just don't. I don't like Kyrie Irving, but I do admit he's a good player, and but he is overrated. I think for the Mavericks. I'm just gonna pause this for 1 minute, folks, because I need to get something to drink. So I'll be right back. We are 20 minutes in. Okay. So let's move on to the Denver Nuggets. And again, feel free to express your thoughts in the chat. We have 9 people in right now, 20 minutes into the live. Oh, now we have 10 people. Great. So let's get into it. Nuggets. Jonas Valanciunas is the most underrated player on the Nuggets. Why? Because I really think that he helps Jokic a lot when it comes to Jokic's health and him resting. I think Jonas Valanciunas is very reliable. He'll pick up his end of the bargain when he needs to. He is a solid player for the Nuggets. A great addition to the team. I definitely think that Jokic was doing pretty much everything on his own in the front court, and Jonas Valanciunas steps up off the bench when he needs to, and that I'll give him praises for. Overrated player for me, it's gotta be. There's not really anybody overrated on the Nuggets. I've said that about quite a few teams so far, but I think Bruce Brown is slightly overrated. I don't think he's as good as he was before when he was on the Nuggets and won that 2023 NBA championship. But yeah, I just think he's fallen off, and yeah, that is my take on it. Again, feel free to share your thoughts in the chat. Like I won't shame anybody for having their own opinion. That's your I think Elder Assassin made a great argument that Josh Giddey is, and you could argue that. I think a lot of people would probably agree with Elder Assassin on that one, that Josh Giddey has been overrated for the Bulls. I personally thought it was Isaac Okoro for that one, but again, it could be Josh Giddey. So we'll see. Just like now, I'm saying Bruce Brown is the most overrated for the Nuggets. But if you guys want to say something like that, it could be missing, feel free to express that in the chat. Pistons, Jalen Duren is the most underrated player on the Pistons. Jalen Duren is definitely my kind of center for a team. He is such a great defensive player, such a great rebounder. That I love a great aggressive center, dominant force in the paint. I love a center like that. Jalen Duren is definitely a very underrated player. I mean, Pistons have a great team, but Jalen Duren has really stood out to me, just as much as Cade Cunningham has stood out, because Jalen Duren is a kind of player. He's very reliable. When Cade Cunningham takes a shot and he misses, Jalen Duren's always right under the rim. Get the offensive rebound, stick it back. Great center for them. Love Jalen Duren. I think he's a great player. I think he's a really, really good player. Tobias Harris is the most overrated player on the Pistons. I mean, what can I say? When he was on the Sixers, I knew he was overrated when we paid him that massive contract for no reason. What were they thinking? And the Pistons, I feel like they now look at Tobias Harris as this. He is a solid veteran presence, but they also look at him as a decent player as well. He's not that good. He's not that good. You could even see it when he was on the Sixers. I don't think he was that good. Nowhere near worth the amount of money they paid him. Jeez. Like, I don't know. But Tobias Harris, for me, is the most overrated. Just not that great of a 3-point shooter for me. Not that good of a mid-range shooter. Just mid. Warriors. Interesting take, but I'm gonna go with Pat Spencer as the most underrated player on the Warriors. I think his 3-point shooting does stand out, but what really stands out to me is how aggressive he is on D. I know he is not the most consistent defensive player, but when it comes to being just aggressive and active and very determined, Pat Spencer is there. He's a very reliable bench option for the Warriors, especially with the Warriors having lots of injuries this season. I think Pat Spencer has handled playing a little bit more minutes very well, and I think he's a very underrated player. And let me know if you guys agree with that in the chat. So overrated player. Look, I hate to say it because I really like him, but Kristaps Porzingis. I just think too injury prone for me. Too injury prone. And it's not his fault that he gets injured, but I'm just saying, like, even I fell for it because a lot of people, when he came to the Hawks, were like so excited that he was going to be on the team, but without recognizing that, this guy gets injured so much. And when he does play, I think the defense is not fully there. I also think when he did play this season, his 3-point shooting wasn't as great as it used to be. So for that reason, Kristaps Porzingis is the most overrated player on the Warriors. Houston Rockets. Reed Shepherd. Has anybody been seeing what this guy has been doing for the Houston Rockets? I am shocked. I am shocked. I picked him up on fantasy too. By the way, in my weekly fantasy, I am 13-5 right now is my record. So we approach playoff time. So hopefully I can give you guys the news that I won the title. That would be great. But for me, Reed Shepherd is the most underrated on the Rockets. Really good 3-point shooter as of late. Very efficient scorer for the Rockets. And I'm actually surprised. I didn't think he was going to get this many minutes, but here we are. He's getting minutes, and he's putting up really good numbers. So Reed Shepherd deserves underrated player. Overrated player, there's not many overrated players on the Rockets. I don't think there's that particularly overrated players on the Rockets, but I think I'll have to give it to Jabari Smith Jr. Jabari Smith Jr. is just I just don't know if what he's doing for the Rockets will be sustainable. I do think I don't know if he's consistent enough, especially come playoff time. Like the defense and stuff. I think Alfred Şengün will have more responsibility in the front court. So we'll see. But I think Jabari Smith Jr. is the overrated player, I would say, but not a bad player, just slightly overrated. Pacers, Andrew Nembhard. Amazing, just really good. Despite being injured a lot this season, he's been really good for the Pacers. Pacers have had a tough season, but Andrew Nembhard is a really, really solid defender for the Pacers. Good playmaker. I mean, his younger brother, Ryan, who we just went over as being the most underrated on the Mavericks, his brother Ryan is going to be like him. These two, like, when you look at them, the similarities is just crazy. And Andrew Nemhard really is just a great player for the Pacers, big part of their title run. Overrated player. Come on now, we know who this is. Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton. I don't hate Tyrese Halliburton. I, I don't even dislike him that much. Um, I just think that he's definitely the most overrated. He's the most overrated player in the league. Like, people look at this guy and think that he is the next Steph Curry, next Magic Johnson, next Steve Nash, next John Stockton. Every great point guard that you want to think, they always put Tyrese Halliburton up with these guys. And I think it's just ridiculous because, like, in the defense is just not there. Like, one good season that he has, one good season in the everybody is so hyped on Tyrese Halliburton, and yeah, just I like I think he's really overrated. But you guys can disagree with me all you want, but I'm not gonna change my mind. The Clippers' most underrated player, Kobe Sanders, I think. Really good rookie for the Clippers. Obviously not a rookie of the year candidate, but maybe on one of the all rookie teams. Great defensive player, great 3-point shooter. What more could you want in a rookie? Especially in today's NBA, where it's all about the 3-point shooting, and if Kobe Sanders hits them, that's great. And about the defensive, like, not many great defensive players in the league anymore, but Kobe Sanders, if he's one of the still solid defenders in the league, great for the Clippers. And they need young players because their team was a retirement home at one point. Darius Garland, overrated for the Clippers. Has not lived up to what people call him an all-star. I don't think he's lived up to that. I think he's inconsistent. He's also kind of sloppy at times. Not a good defender. I think he's just overrated there, but I do like him. I do think he's going to be solid for the Clippers. I think they made they. I don't know if the Clippers. I mean, James Harden is definitely the better player than Darius Garland as of right now. James Harden carried that Clippers team, but I think James Harden won it out, and I think this was a good return for the Clippers. Lakers. Luke Kennard is the most underrated player for the simple reason that this guy shoots 50% from three. It's just insane. It blows my mind how good this guy is at 3-point shooting. And even just a mid-range shot. He's just a bucket. And overrated player. Oh, that's easy. But Bronny James, let's move on. Bronny James is the most overrated player on the Lakers. Actually, no, I take it back. He's the most overrated player in the league, not Halliburton. Sorry, Halliburton. You're second most overrated. Bronny James is the most overrated player. Just let's move on. Let's move on. Grizzlies. I think the most underrated player is Zach Edey. He's been injured most of the season. He's only played like 11 games. But in the time that he did play, you could definitely see there's a lot of quality in Zach Edey. He's a very strong, tough player, really good defender. I just think he's a kind of old school kind of center as well. It's the 7'3", 305-pound monster in the front court. Just a good player, but has had bad luck. I mean, that can happen at 7'3". You can get injured at that height. And Ja Morant, most overrated player. People love Ja Morant for some reason, and even before when he got the Grizzlies to the 2 seed, I saw a lot of potential in him. But I've seen a downgrade in him, and that's when I thought that he was overrated, but people were still hyping him up, and now I feel like more people start to see it, but still praising him, and I just think that it's time for John Morant to move on. He's not the player that he was a couple years ago. I think he needs to find himself another team, or maybe even just retire because he keeps on getting injured. So, and the Heat. Let's move on to the Heat. Tyler Hero is the most underrated. I used to think Tyler Hero was actually overrated, but the numbers that he's putting up in the efficiency level is really great, especially for a man who has been injured most of the season. To come in there, play like only just under 20 games this season, but play at the level he's been playing at for the Heat, I think it's been really great for Miami. I do think that they need that boost offensively. Obviously, the defense is great because Eric Spoelstra, I don't think any coach could create a defensive team as good as Eric Spoelstra. But Tyler Hero has definitely become underrated because I just think his efficiency and just is a great offensive player all around for the Heat, especially with getting injured this season and still doing the job. It's great. Andrew Wiggins, overrated, just not enough consistency. I think it was a little bit overhyped. Yeah, I just think he's overrated. The Bucks. For me, it's gotta be Ryan Rollins for most underrated player. People need to respect this guy because Ryan Rollins is going to be an all-star. He is going to be an all-star. There's no question about it. He is a really great player. I think for the Bucks, just he's been kind of the light of the season. The Bucks have had a terrible season, in my opinion. Giannis has been injured most of the season, and the Bucks are just getting blown out by a lot, getting booed by their own fans as well. Ryan Rollins has really stepped up when they needed him. He's underrated. And the most overrated player, I think we all know, we can agree on this one, Kyle Kuzma. Oh, God. I'm not gonna say anything else. He's overrated. You don't have to agree with me, like I said all the time, but he is overrated. Let's move on. The Wolves. Rudy Gobert is the most underrated player on the Timberwolves. Definitely a defensive player of the year candidate again. People said that he's had a down. I don't know why people hate on Rudy Gobert so much. I think he is a great defensive player. He's averaged 11 points per game this season, 11.5 rebounds on 70% shooting from the field. I think it's been a great season for Rudy Gobert. I think the Timberwolves are very stacked now, and they are looking dangerous with Rudy Gobert. Mike Conley, I would say most overrated. There's not really anybody overrated on the Timberwolves, but I think Mike Conley is slightly overrated at this point. He's just not the player he was, and I just don't think he's that good. So Mike Conley for me. Pelicans, Trey Murphy III is the most underrated player. I think Trey Murphy III has been the best player in the Pelicans this season. I really strongly believe, and he plays for a bad team. People don't care about these bad teams, but I do. I do. I care about watching every team and seeing how their players play. And what I see from Trey Murphy is really great player, really great scorer, really great defender. Trey Murphy III is a really great player for the Pelicans. And overrated player, Zion Williamson. I honestly think if Zion Williamson was on the table, all these teams would have their hands up, or the team's fans would have their hands up wanting him. And why would you want him? He just is so injury prone. He's the most injury prone player ever. when he plays, he is really good. But I do think I don't think he's that like fast, like he used to be. I think he just is out of shape. He just looks out of shape when he plays. Next up for the Knicks, it's uh Miles McBride. Miles McBride, really good shooter, 40% from three, averaging around 13 points per game. So I think that's where Miles McBride at. Is just a good role player for the option for the Knicks. Really good player, I think. And Jordan Clarkson, I think, is their almost overrated player. As much as I hate the Knicks, there's not really many overrated players on the Knicks. But I do think Jordan Clarkson is there for most overrated. Next up, the Thunder. Give me Isaiah Hartenstein for a similar reason to the Cavs. Because everybody's so focused on Chet Holmgren for the Thunder, people realize how big of a role Isaiah Hartenstein plays in that front court, averaging a double-double and 60% shooting. Really good defender. I think arguably a better defender than Chet Holmgren. So Isaiah Hartenstein is a good option for them. And Lou Dort, most overrated player on the team because just the lack of efficiency, very dirty player as well, and very inconsistent. So Lou Dort for me. Magic. Honestly, it's got to be Desmond Bain. He's a dirty player as well, but Desmond Bain has been very underrated. I think people focus too much on Paolo Banchero when they look at the Magic, but Desmond Bain has been really good this season, averaging 20 points per game. Really, well, and as always, still one of the better 3-point shooters in our league, the league that we all love, the NBA, and the most overrated player, Paolo Banchero. Paolo Banchero. I feel like a lot of people, this is what me and Elder Assassin were talking about earlier, how we thought so much of the Magic, how we thought Paolo Banchero was going to be this MVP candidate. And I just think he's had a disappointing season. So I think he's the most overrated player on the Magic. And I do like Paolo Banchero, but I mean, just gotta say what gotta say. And next up, the best team, my Philadelphia 76ers. Say the best for last, but actually not last because we still have a few more teams. But the Sixers, the most underrated player is Adem Bona, in my opinion. Adem Bona is a great, very energetic. If you watch Sixers games, you'll know that Adem Bona brings that energy to the games, brings that energy on the court, is a great defensive player. And most overrated player, I mean, can every Sixer fan agree with me on this? Paul George, the absolute state of that contract deal. $60 million at the door last year with him pretty much out the whole year last year. Now he gets suspended this year. Another $60 million at the door. What a terrible contract. Suns, Mark Williams, great center for the Suns. He averages a double-double as well. And a lot of people didn't talk about him on the Hornets, so I'm not talking about him now. But the Suns have really great offensive rebounding team as well. And Mark Williams a big part of that. So great. And overrated, Devin Booker. It's always been Devin Booker, and it's going to be Devin Booker now. Underrated player on the Blazers, Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, even though he's 35, he is still a good player. Come on now. I gotta give respect to Drew Holiday for the way he's led this team as like a veteran. way he always steps up on defense. I think Drew Holiday has earned the right to be called most underrated player in the Blazers. And next up, overrated is gotta be Scoot Henderson. He has been injured most of the season, but in the games that he's played, he's just been very disappointing, in my opinion. 24% from three, just not it for the Blazers at the moment. Kings most underrated player gotta be Malik Monk. Malik Monk has been just always a reliable 3-point shooter, always reliable off the bench as well. Malik Monk, great player for the Kings, but the Kings are not great. So Malik Monk might want to be out of there at some point, but he does get more playing time because he's on a crappy team like the Kings. And DeMar DeRozan is the most overrated player on the Kings. Just not the same player he once was. Even that mid-range shot is not really falling for him that often anymore. So for me, it's DeMar DeRozan. Next for the Spurs. Honestly, should be a popular opinion. Julian Champagnie is the most underrated player. When you look at how reliable and how great of a scorer he actually is, because people are all talking about Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Victor Wembanyama, obviously. People forget about Julian Champagnie, Devin Vassell, all these guys on the Spurs. But Julian Champagnie is a very underrated player. Sometimes people do give credit to Devin Vassell, but Julian Champagnie, I think, gets no credit. I think he's a great role player for the Spurs, so I'll give him that. And most overrated, Stephon Castle. Just, I don't think he's that consistent like people think. I think he's pretty overhyped, in my opinion. I think we would have expected better for sophomore season, but the Spurs are a really good team with him, so we'll see how it goes. Raptors, Emmanuel Quickly is the most underrated player, one of the top 3-point shooters in the league, in my opinion, averaging almost 18 points a game. What is there to say? Emmanuel Quickly is just that guy for the Raptors. Most overrated player, there's not really many overrated players on the Raptors, but I do think RJ Barrett takes it. We have 9 people in right now, so we have 2 more teams left, and then we're gonna go to live. It's actually went longer than I thought it would be, but I'm loving it. It's been a great live. Jazz, I think Yusuf Nurkic has become the most underrated player. I think Yusuf Nurkic has really played a role in be just taking over for the Jazz with a lot of injuries to big guys like Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen. So I think Yusuf Nurkic has been a great player this season, double-double. He averages. And the most overrated player on the Jazz, there's not really many overrated players on the Jazz, but if I would have to pick one right now, I hate to say it because I do love this player. I think he's a great player. Keontae George is probably one of the worst defenders that a team could have. But he just not the most efficient scorer either, but a really good scorer though at times. But Stephon Castle does need a lot of work. I think he's slightly overrated. And the Wizards already in just 3 games, Julian Reese has proven why he's the underrated player on the Wizards. Because wow, that 18 and 20 game that he just put up recently against the Jazz. Awesome. Great game from him. And the most overrated player on the Wizards, I think, is Cam Whitmore. Because just not enough consistency from him. But that is my lineup. Let me know if you agree, disagree with these takes. Those are my overrated and underrated players for each team. It's not that I'm trying to disrespect the overrated, not trying to hype the underrated players. They're just trying to give them respect, and not trying to disrespect the overrated players. Just trying to give you my honest opinion. So, with that being said, I'm in the now. If you guys want to see more of this, it's actually a Saturday live. I never just do live Saturday, but decided to do one today. So let me know what you guys thought. And until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.